Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the relentless pace and complexities of modern life? The constant distractions, pressures, and uncertainties that seem to pile on daily? Well, you're not alone. The wisdom of Stoic philosophy holds profound insights that can help us navigate these turbulent waters with greater equanimity and resilience. In this video, we're going to dive into 10 of the most powerful Stoic quotes and explore how their timeless wisdom can be applied to our contemporary lives. 1. Man conquers the world by conquering himself. Zeno of Citium. At first glance, it may seem like an overly philosophical statement, but pause for a moment and let's break it down. We live in a world constantly bombarding us with external pressures, demands, and distractions. Society tells us to chase success, wealth, status. Advertising convinces us to buy the latest gadgets for a hit of temporary gratification. Heck, even our own minds can be a battlefield, with negative thought patterns and lack of self-control derailing our best intentions. But what if the answer lies not in continuously battling the outside world, but in mastering ourselves from within? Zeno's quote is essentially telling us that the greatest conquest is over our own doubts, fears, and impulses. I'm sure we can all relate to times where a lack of self-discipline led to regrettable decisions or habits that held us back. But those who develop self-mastery, they cultivate an unshakable inner strength that allows them to cut through the noise and stay focused on what truly matters. Just look at the world's highest achievers. They all exhibit incredible self-discipline, from Olympians with laser focus during their training to entrepreneurial visionaries powering through challenges and self-doubt. The common thread? A dedication to personal growth and honing their mindset and capabilities. So let this quote be a reminder. Invest in cultivating self-mastery through practices like meditation, mindfulness, and grit. Master your emotions, conquer your vices, and forge unwavering self-control. Once you conquer yourself from the inside, no external challenge can ever shake you. The world doesn't stand a chance. 2. Lead me, Zeus, and you, fate, wherever you have assigned me. I will follow without hesitation, but even if I am disobedient and unwilling, I will come nonetheless. Cleanthes. Our modern lives are filled with ambition, and the pursuit of self-determined paths can easily resist this notion. We crave control, to be the architects of our destinies. Yet, how often have our best-laid plans been upended by the unexpected twists and turns of life? A global pandemic reshaped our world in unimaginable ways, a dream career opportunity snatched away by forces outside our influence, or even the quiet whispers of our own hearts, leading us down roads we never foresaw. Cleanthes reminds us that in such moments we have a choice to resist and rail against the currents of fate, or to surrender and flow gracefully with acceptance. I will follow without hesitation, but even if I am disobedient and unwilling, I will come nonetheless. For those who embrace this wisdom, life unveils its deepest gifts, like a leaf dancing upon the river's surface, effortlessly carried to wondrous new vistas. Each challenge becomes an opportunity for growth, every closed door a redirection towards something greater. Cleanthes' words are an invitation to open ourselves to life's great mysteries, to cultivate a spirit of trust and willingness, even amidst the unknown. For whether we resist or relent, the tides of destiny will carry us all the same. How much sweeter it is to flow with it, and perhaps even catch a glimpse of life's hidden blessings along the way. 3. The universe itself is God, and the universal outpouring of its soul. Chrysippus. You know, when I first read Chrysippus's quote about the universe being God and the outpouring of its soul, I'll admit I was a bit puzzled. It sounded almost mystical or overly philosophical, but the more I reflected on it, the more I realized the profound wisdom it contains for modern living. Just take a moment to look around you. Everything you see, from the screen you're watching this video on, to the chair you're sitting in, to the trees outside your window, it all originated from the same cosmic fabric of existence. We are all part of an intricate, interconnected tapestry of life. Modern science has only reinforced this idea. We know that the particles and elements that make up every physical object were quite literally forged in the furnaces of ancient stars. We are made of star stuff, woven into the very fabric of the cosmos itself. But Chrysippus is getting at something deeper than just material interconnectedness. He's speaking of a unifying consciousness, a universal soul that flows through all of creation. A recognition that we are not isolated beings but strands in the grand web of existence. When you embrace this perspective, it instills a profound sense of unity and belonging with all things. Your own purpose transcends the petty pursuits of the ego and becomes aligned with the greater whole. 4. Virtue alone is sufficient for happiness. Diogenes of Babylon. In our modern, material-driven society, Diogenes' assertion that virtue alone is sufficient for happiness can seem almost quaint or out of touch. We're constantly bombarded with messages that true happiness comes from acquiring more, a bigger house, fancier car, or higher-paying job. But I'd invite you to take a step back and reflect on the people you know who radiate genuine contentment and joy. More often than not, it's not those chasing endless material pursuits, but rather those living with integrity, kindness, and a strong moral compass. True virtue isn't about checking boxes of good deeds or superficial appearances. It's about embodying timeless principles like honesty, compassion, courage, and humility in every facet of your life. It's making the tough but righteous choice even when no one is watching. I think back to my own grandfather, one of the most content and joyful people I knew. He lived an incredibly simple life, but his actions were constantly guided by an unwavering inner virtue. I remember visiting him in his tiny apartment, yet feeling like I was in the presence of profound richness purely through the generosity of his spirit. Or consider someone like Mr. Rogers, a person who brought immense light to millions through his uncompromising kindness, empathy, and commitment to imparting virtuous values to children. His impact and the happiness he sparked far transcended any fleeting achievement or possession. The Stoics understood that while fame, status, and wealth can provide momentary pleasures, they are inherently flawed and temporary sources of fulfillment. True, lasting happiness can only arise from consciously cultivating virtue as the guiding force of your life. 5. The wise man is self-sufficient because he makes the right use of reason. Antipater of Tarsus. This quote speaks to one of the core tenets of Stoic philosophy, the power of cultivating rational thinking as a pathway to self-sufficiency and fulfillment. In our modern world of constant distractions, impulsive decision-making, and being swayed by fleeting emotions, this ancient wisdom is arguably more relevant than ever before. Think about how many of your own choices or those of people around you are driven more by whims, fears, or social pressures rather than sound reasoning. But those who develop the discipline of tapping into their faculty of reason, they unlock a profound sense of inner autonomy and stability that is largely impervious to external circumstances. Their minds become bulwarks of calm and clarity amidst the storms of life. The path of the wise man begins with consciously strengthening your rational mind through practices like Stoic meditation, studying philosophy and logic, or even dabbling in fields that enhance critical thinking skills. You start questioning your unconscious assumptions, ignoring fear-based inner voices, and making choices guided by your wiser self. And as you diligently walk this path, an incredible sense of self-sufficiency blossoms. The need for external validation or circumstances to be a certain way in order to feel okay dissolves. You realize your deepest wellspring of sufficiency was within you all along, accessed through making. Right use of reason. 6. Knowledge is worth more than any treasure. Posidonius. When I read Posidonius' quote that knowledge is worth more than any treasure, I can't help but get fired up. These words resonate so powerfully in our modern age of rampant materialism and short-term thinking. Just take a look around. We're inundated with messages praising the pursuit of wealth, status symbols, and fleeting pleasures. Corporations manipulate us into believing that the latest products or experiences will finally make us happy and complete. But here's the brutal truth. All that glitzy treasure is empty and unfulfilling at its core. It fades, rusts, and becomes outdated quicker than you can say, next year's model. What endures? What provides sustenance for our minds and souls? Knowledge. Think of the wisest, most remarkable people you've met in life. Were they impressed by your fancy car or massive home theater? Or were they in awe of your deep insights, your nuanced perspective, your ability to analyze and solve complex problems? You see, true knowledge and learning, that's where the real wealth lies. And unlike material possessions, knowledge is something that builds immense compounding value over time. It's the greatest investment you can make that no one can ever take from you. Each new profound book you read, each new skill you acquire, every lesson you learn from your failures and struggles, it's deposited into your intellectual and spiritual bank account, accumulating interest. Just look at the most successful people in any field. Yes, they may have tremendous wealth, but I guarantee what got them there was an unwavering dedication to mastering their minds through relentless learning and growth. Their treasure is their expansive knowledge, which allows them to adapt to any circumstance. 7. How fortunate is it then for the soul to grow stronger in hardships? Musonius Rufus. I think we can all relate to Musonius Rufus's powerful words about hardship on a deeply personal level. Life inevitably brings difficulties and challenges that can test our fortitude, whether it's the loss of a loved one, a crisis that shakes our foundations, or simply accumulated stress and adversity over time. In those dark moments, it's so easy to feel angry, bitter, or to ask, why me? Why is this happening? We want to resist the pain to make it go away as quickly as possible, and that's an entirely natural human reaction. But what if, instead of reflexively recoiling from hardship, we had the courage to lean into it? To embrace Rufus's perspective, that difficulty presents an extraordinary opportunity for the soul to be forged into something stronger, more resilient, more powerful. I'm reminded of the metamorphosis of the humble caterpillar into a butterfly. Imagine if the caterpillar stubbornly resisted its struggle of shedding that confining cocoon. It would never experience the profound transformation into its transcendent winged glory. Our hardships, as painful as they can be, are akin to that cocoon phase. The trials and tribulations become the catalyzing forces that allow us to emerge as grander, more evolved versions of ourselves. With each difficulty we experience with grace, our spiritual and emotional resilience strengthens tremendously. 8. We should extend our concern to all of humanity, seeing all as part of our community. Hierocles. When I read this quote, I can't help but feel a surge of hope and inspiration. In an age of increasing divisiveness, where it's so easy to get tribal and insular in our thinking, separating the world into us versus them, these words are a powerful reminder of our inherent interconnectedness as a human family. Just pause and think about it for a moment. Despite all our cultural, religious, and ideological differences on the surface, we are still bound by our common humanity. We all share the same universal desires for happiness, love, purpose, and to alleviate suffering. We're all in this great cosmic journey together, riding on the same tiny pale blue dot, suspended in a vastness hard to comprehend. When you can expand your circle of concern and compassion to encompass all people, everything shifts. Suddenly the petty divisions and disagreements that seem so important start to pale. An undercurrent of fundamental unity emerges, allowing you to relate to others with greater empathy, cooperation, and goodwill. 9. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Epictetus. Epictetus's immortal words should practically be stamped onto the psyche of anyone striving to live with greater wisdom and peace in this modern age. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Just pause and reflect on the power contained in that one simple line. It completely upends the way most of us instinctively approach the challenges of daily life. We tend to fixate on controlling or railing against the unfolding of external circumstances, don't we? Raging at traffic jams, catastrophizing over worst-case scenarios, or feeling endlessly frustrated when situations don't align with our preferences. But as the ancient Stoics knew, that's utterly pointless, and a recipe for unending suffering. The only thing truly in our control is how we respond internally to whatever arises. Everything else, including other people's behavior, natural events, or the results of our own efforts, is fundamentally out of our grasp. Now, I'm not saying this is easy. Our knee-jerk reaction is to fight and lament the unfavorable realities we encounter. But just imagine how liberated you'd feel if you could not resist them, but rather embrace this timeless wisdom, to stay centered and focused on your intentional response, rather than raging impotently at the world. Essentially, this teaching is an invitation to take radical responsibility for your internal experience, regardless of what's unfolding around you, to become unconditionally responsible. When you do, you sidestep so much unnecessary suffering that arises from resisting reality. Life's challenges remain, but you open to finding the graceful, uplifting, or growth-catalyzing response available in each moment. 10. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive. Shax, Marcus Aurelius. Just think about how many circumstances in our daily lives are inherently out of our control. The whims of other people's behavior, turbulent global events, unpredictable challenges that disrupt our best-laid plans. So much of our reality is in constant flux, a dynamic interplay of forces beyond our grasp. And yet most of us exhaust ourselves fighting this reality, railing against the notion that we can't control what's unfolding externally. We grip so tightly, desperately trying to force life to conform to our preferences. But as Marcus reminds us, that's a battle we can never win. True strength, resilience, and inner freedom arise not from this futile struggle, but from realizing where our sovereign power truly lies. In our minds. When you can reign over your inner world, mastering your mindset, emotional reactions, and responses, you become powerful in the profoundest sense, unshakable in the face of any storm that rages without. This doesn't mean being cold or indifferent to external events, but rather responding to them with wisdom, presence, and an abiding sense of internal command. You aren't at the mercy of circumstances. You choose how to meet them, what meanings to apply, and how open or closed you'll remain. So let these words be your invitation to join the profound lineage of those who have mastered fulfillment from the inside out. By turning your efforts inward and realizing where your true power abides, you'll tap into a wellspring of strength, wisdom, and unconditional thriving that can navigate any storms life may bring, both timeless and radically liberating, the supreme accomplishment of commanding your mind.